I have been working on a thing called, as we call, a cold. Working on it meaning that dwelling in it, accepting it, uh, doing the best I can. You see, I believe there is no such thing as sickness. It's just the time to relax and slow down. That sounds maybe a little crazy when the body is hooping and feeling all crazy and not quite right mentally and emotionally. But today is the day that I listen to the lesson in A Course in Miracles. And the thought is, God's voice speaks to me all through the day. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. God's voice speaks all through the day. It is quite possible to listen to God's voice all through the day without interrupting your regular activities in any way. Thoughts are constantly going through our minds, no matter what we do, no matter what we're in the process of. There are still thoughts going through our mind. The part of your mind in which thought abides is in constant communication with God, whether we are aware of it or not. Most of the times we're not aware of it. Thoughts go through our mind so quickly, we're not really aware of how many thoughts or what they are until we stop and clean it, tune into that thought. Let's see. It is the other part of our mind that functions in the world and obeys the world's laws. Yeah, those things we hear on the news, those things that we read as we walk down the street, those thoughts are in this separate part of our mind. It is this part that is constantly distracted, disorganized, and highly uncertain. All those doubtful thoughts, those thoughts that are not of God, but of the world, are the things that are distracted. And most of us think that that is the truth, but it's not. They are just images and things that happen. The part that is listening to the voice of God is calm, always at rest, and wholly certain, completely certain. It is really the only part there is. The other part is a wild delusion, frantic and distraught, but without really any reality of any kind. Remember, we've been talking about the illusions of the world. Try today not to listen to it. Try to identify with the part of your mind where stillness and peace reside. Forever, peace reside. Try to hear God's voice call to you lovingly, reminding you that your Creator has not forgotten His Son. God's voice speaks to me throughout all through the day. God's voice speaks to me. Excuse me. All through the day. Yes, he does. I refuse to stop because I am not sick. I may sound sick, but I'm not. Just clearing out my throat, clearing out my body, taking rest, and listening to God. We will need at least 3 to 5 minute practices and more if possible. You will try actually to hear the voice of God, reminding you of Him and of yourself. Good morning, Clarissa. Good God morning. We're talking about God's voice speaks to me throughout the day. God's voice reminding you of Him and yourself. You will approach this happiness and holiness of thought with confidence, knowing that in doing so, we are joined with the will of God. He wants you to hear His voice. He wants to give it to you to be heard. God wants to speak to you. Happy Sabbath, Clarissa. Yes, this is your Sabbath day. Oh, God. Isn't it amazing? Happy Sabbath. It's nice to have you here this Sunday morning. This Saturday morning. Sorry about that. So you're going to listen in deep silence. Be very still and open your mind. Go past all the shrieks of the world, the sickening imagination that covers your real thoughts and obscure your eternal link with God. Those thoughts of the world, those things that have happened that the news says, or people want you to buy into. Don't. Ask God to allow you to hear His voice in all aspects throughout the day. Sink deep into the peace that waits for you beyond the traffic, the frantic, riotous thoughts and things that go on in this insane place they call the world. Remember, in silence is the thoughts of God. The voice of God speaks to us in silence, in peace, in a small voice. You see, because what we're trying to do here, we are trying to reach your real home, our real place, our real space where God is. We are trying to reach that place where we are truly welcomed in the house of God, where we can stay there as long as we so choose. We are trying to reach God. God is already there in us, but we have to open and clear out a whole lot of unnecessary garbage for us to hear Him, for us to feel Him. And sometimes when I hear other people talking, they say, it doesn't stay with you. I don't believe that God's reality or His world doesn't stay with us. I think we blanket out by all the thoughts and things that are outside of God's world. We focus in on unnecessary stuff. Don't forget that in saying what you want, it will come. So today, Repeat this idea as frequently as possible. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. Do so with your eyes open when necessary and when they are closed, so you won't be distracted from what's outside in the world. Closing for me is the best. And be sure to sit quietly and repeat the idea for today whenever you can, whenever you feel the need, whenever things are getting a little disturbing to you. Excuse me. So that you can invite God's voice to speak to you. That's it. Hey, Tracy, how are you? Clarissa, it's so good to see you. And this is what I say. So, God's voice speaks to me all through the day. That's the lesson for today. The thought for today. So say it in your mind's eye, say it in your heart. God, and know that God is speaking to you all through the day. Yes, I am Rosa J, doing it God's way each and every day. And share this out. Someone may need this today. Have a great Sabbath, Carissa. Tell your husband I said hello. Give him a hug and a kiss for me. Tracy, God is always watching over you, my sister. Life is good and you are healed. Life is good and all is well. And remember, when in that doubtful space, remind God that He is always speaking to you. And you are always listening. Be blessed. Namaste. Oh, yeah.